I am sharing Spellbinders club kits for August 2026, and oh my gosh, they are so cute. Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and welcome to my channel. Like usual, I have 8 cards for you today, and we're going to start with our large die of the month. I know I'm quite a bit late as putting this video out. It's just kind of the way that it happened, but oh my gosh, let me just tell you how cute these dies are. So hopefully I can give you some inspiration. I am starting with, oh my gosh, the Lilac cardstock from Spellbinders, and I did some ink blending with Villainous Potion and Black Soot Distress Oxide ink. And we are going to create this darling Halloween pumpkin car. Oh my gosh, it's so cute, you guys. So we've got this really awesome background. Now I'm going to do some splatter and things, and really what my intention was to then use one of the embossing folders from all of the kits, because I am doing the All Clubs crate. That's what I have every month to share with you guys, and I just totally, the background's fabulous, but I totally forgot to emboss this. I did this over a few days, and I think I was really tired, and just my brains were not working. So anyways, I splattered it with some water. I tried to spray it. Oh, this is with the Villainous Potion, and then I'm going to splatter or spritz with my Black Soot Distress Spray. Then we have our pumpkin here. I'm going to do some ink blending with Walnut Stain, and I am starting with the Tuscan. Let me make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, Tuscan cardstock. So it's a little bit of a, I would say more of kind of a rusty brown rather than like the carrot cardstock that's, or not brown, orange, rather than the bright orange cardstock. I wanted to go a little bit darker with this guy, and we're just going to lay out this fun little car. Now I did adhere the background behind the windshield, and I have to undo that. I just gently kind of pulled it apart. It worked just fine, because I forgot I have to put people inside of this car. So, or a ghost and witch legs, you know what I mean? So then we have our green lights. So here's where I'm just going to take this off gently. It did rip some of the paper, but you won't notice it because I have to put some foam adhesive behind it. Not a big deal. So there's the front of our card. Isn't that, or car? I keep saying card. Car. And isn't it cute? Here are the cute tires. The jack-o'-lantern has teeth. I need to slide those in because I glued that together before the teeth. Yeah. Can you just say struggle bus the whole time? Our little darling side windows. There's a cute steering wheel. Let me put the teeth in here. I just used my Pick Pro tool and loosened up around the mouth. I kind of tend to not put so much glue right there or any. So I was able just to pop that open and slide the teeth right in. So really it worked out, but do it ahead of time. Don't do it like me. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh my gosh, isn't he fun? And then he's got his little stem, and then we will layer that together here in just a minute. So here's our darling ghost that's going to be driving the car. And of course, I have everything sped up a lot quicker because I'm showing 8 cards. So this is already like 31 minutes long. So I just want to remind you that you can slow it down using the gear. Just turn me down, otherwise I'm going to sound like I'm weird or something. But you can slow it down if you need to see something a little bit slower. But to fit everything in, I do have to speed it up. So let's get all of those little skulls just ink blended a little bit. I used fog cardstock for them. Then you have this black piece that you die cut that goes behind their faces. Then there's regular bones. We've got this darling witch hat that we're going to put on the big skeleton. There's some fun wings. I think there was an eyeball in this, but I don't remember for sure. Lots of fun, cute dies. Look at these little witch legs. Oh my gosh, they're so funny to me. So we're going to do some green and black, of course, for her little tights. She's got some cute black shoes. All of these darling elements. Let's just get those put into place. So this is the large die. Then you have the small die. I think these are the bigger die cut heavy kits of the month. 100% worth it, let me tell you. But everything in here is cute. And I just love how everything coordinates. So you can kind of use some things together, which is what I did on some of these cards. A little bit of foam adhesive because, you know, I like foam adhesive on my card. I like layering. I like adding dimension. It is my favorite. Oh, how cute are these guys? There's the steering wheel. This car is darling. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. We have the ghost behind here, and then I can put his little hand on the steering wheel, so I'm making sure that he looks good. Let's add some foam adhesive. I don't want him right up on the steering wheel. I want to add just a little bit of space between that. That's not something you have to do. That's just a design choice that I make. And so that's kind of how I like my cards. So when I'm doing something like that, I'm going to use a 1mm foam adhesive, which is super low profile. And all the foam adhesive that I use is from scrapbook.com. And like this is already small, but I'm cutting it in half so I can put this at the top of the car here because I need some space between the front and the back of this windshield. So let me just put that right back in place. You didn't even know that I had to tear it apart. Okay, here's our background. Let's get our car in place. This is going to fill up this whole A2 size card from top to bottom. Like, it's going to go past it a little bit. So, and I would not trim off the hat because that's one of the cutest parts of the hat. Put it in a bigger envelope, right? Sometimes in A2 size, you just need things hanging off the edges, and that's totally okay. So we have these clusters of this cluster of bones that I'm going to place on top of the car. And I'm starting with a piece of foam adhesive and a little bit of liquid glue. And I'm just going to start crossing these over and laying them on top. Giving some dimension. Giving some space between the bones. Cute. There we go. And then we have these cute skulls. Now, I say cute. They are kind of cute because they're so tiny. But we're going to stack these on top of each other. Let me add one more of the bone, that last bone back there. You're not really going to see it, but it's going to kind of help prop up the skulls here. And I'm going to do 3 at the bottom because we're going to do a tier, 2, and then that large one at the top. And I kind of want them tilted in different ways. I don't want them lined up perfectly. But how fun is this? Okay. And then there is our large one. And it's going to wear the hat. I'm going to scooch these down a little bit more because I felt like the hat hung off the top way too much. So let me line these up a little further down. And this is much better. This is going to give us a tad bit more room at the top, even though it's still going to hang over the top, but that is totally okay. They're kind of nestled in more, and I actually do like it this way. And then let's put our other 2 here. And then our large one can go right on top. He's going to have wings and that cute hat we're going to do at a tilt. That's also going to help with how much hangs over the top. This is just the design. Now, I could have done this on a 5x7, but then I feel like there would have been too much card left. Although I could have trimmed it down and made a base and made a frame around it. So you could go that way too, or you could do it like this and just stick it in a bigger envelope. Not a big deal. And then we're going to create a sentiment. We're going to stamp and heat emboss a sentiment. I mean, we are going to create one from the stamp and die of the month, or the stamp of the month. And I'm going to do a few of these sentiments just ahead of time because then it's already done for some of the other cards. And I'm going to do white heat embossing on black cardstock. I think that's perfect for Halloween. It brings in a nice pop of white without it feeling like it's white. Rather than, not that it's wrong, but rather than putting black ink on white cardstock, because the black cardstock just fits in better. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to tape this in place. And we're going to use the Hope This Raises Your Spirits sentiment on this card. And I'm going to tuck it under that hat just a little bit. I added foam adhesive under the edges. And I'm going to lift up that little pointy part of the hat and have that go over the top. And then this card is done. Okay, on to our second card. I'm using the 3D embossing folder, and I love this spiderweb background, you guys, so much. So I've used some, oh, what is this? This is a darker gray cardstock, and I can't think of what it's called right now. I used my black ink to run across the top, black soot, and then I'm splattering it with a little bit of the purple and the black distress inks, or distress sprays, excuse me. And that's going to be our background. So running it through our embossing folder, using our black soot ink just to rub across the embossed areas to highlight the fun spider webs, and then splattering the background. Here are the fun books. So this is the small die of the month. This one might be my favorite, and my husband loved this one. I'm going to ink blend these books. We have orange, green, and purple. There is a little die that you can put on the edge of the books, run that through the die cut machine, and it's going to give you the words. So we have Ghost Story and Spellbound. I've already done that ahead of time. Here's our little pages of our books. And I need to grab something out of my stash for this card. I'm like, this stuff would be cute on a table or on shelves. I did shelves because I had so much I wanted to put on this card. So I took... And if you recognize this skull is from the large die of the month. So, you know, mix and match between your kits. It's fantastic. Then you have the cute candles, really fun. There is a potion bottle. I mean, just fun stuff. So anyways, I decided to make shelves. So outside of the kit, I use the Whimsical wood grain embossing folder from scrapbook.com. Just embossed a black piece of cardstock, A2 size, and then I just trimmed out some shelves that look like, I think, about a ½ inch that I trimmed, and that's going to give me shelves. Just 2 pieces, super simple to do. Even if you don't have like a wood grain, anything, just trim out pieces of cardstock and create a shelf, or 2, which is what I did. Here is the potion bottle. I'm going to do 2 of those. Green and purple. How fun. Just a little bit of ink blending around the edges, of course, to add some interest, but you do not have to do that. They still are perfectly wonderful without the ink blending. And you can do 2 different colors so the bubbles look different. I just kept it simple for me because I was doing so much die cutting at one time. How cute are those bottles? And then we have that skull. Okay. Let's glue in our pages to our book here, our books. We are going to use 4 books on this card. And then we have our candles. Let's put our 3 little candles together. Their little faces are such a crack up to me. And you have your flames here. You've got a couple layers here to give you some really fun flames. Backing it on the black cardstock lets their little faces show through. Cute, cute. These little candles are darling. And then let's finish up that 3rd one. Again, this is the small die of the month. But really, it feels like a huge, it feels like a large die because I feel like you get so many dies in here. It's a lot. All right, let's lay out our card. We're going to create these shelves here. And I'm going to pop them up with 1mm foam adhesive. Don't you just love this background? I love this spiderweb background. I think it's so pretty. We're going to use the Happy Halloween sentiment. I'm going to put that in place just so I can start to get my things lined up nicely. And before I put the second shelf on, I'm going to see how tall that needs to be and then just kind of work with it there. I already eyeballed it off camera, which is kind of what I tend to do because it takes me a minute to kind of get my setup and know exactly how I want this to look. Let's put in we're going to use a couple candles here at the bottom, a ghost, a potion bottle, and I'm going to use the bats as kind of the bottle topper, if that makes sense. Let's put this guy down here, overlapping the front of those books. And you can see that I'm lining these things up closer or further away, even on that little shelf. That makes it interesting on your card as well. So if you can do something like that, don't put everything on the front. Don't put everything lined up to the back like you would on a normal shelf. Some things are going to be closer and some things are going to be further away. All right. Let me get this foam adhesive behind this other candle that's going to be on the book. I love the way that these are all melted. And I want a ghost coming out from behind that. So we're going to place him behind the books. Cute, cute. And then let's finish up our top shelf. Now I know where everything needs to go. The flame on this other candle is going to overlap that shelf just a little bit to make sure I have room at the top. And then I can just trim that excess off. We're going to line up the books here. And these ones will be kind of even with the, oh my gosh, the potion bottle at the top. The books in that will be even, but the bottom one you can see is quite different. So just different ways to get things layered and looking interesting and a little, even though these are fun little, you know, cartoonish type dies, but you can get a little bit of realism with the way you lay things out. Let's bring in that big skull. I think it fit perfect from the large die of the month. We have that little ghost there. I'll trim the excess off of that ghost. And then we're going to put the two little bats inside of this potion bottle. I think that would be a lot of fun. So let's just place them inside of that. And then place that last bat on top. And that is really cute. Okay, let's go into the stitching die of the month. I'm just going to show you on this one piece here. I'm using fog cardstock. I just found a gray floss in my stash. I'm going to tape that loose end on the back. And there is little guidelines on this, kind of embossed, on where these lines go. So it looks random, and it is random, but you can follow how it's laid out. And you're just going to go in and up and down through all of these holes, go to the end, and then tie off with a knot. And I'm going to do that on 5 pieces here. There's 4 or 5 different pieces, and you can die cut them without the holes, which I have used some of those, and then you can die cut some with the holes. Also, I'm going to die cut a duplicate of the same thing without the holes so I can adhere it to the back to make sure that the thread doesn't ever come loose. So let's go through that back here, and then you can tie off a knot. So here is the solid back pieces that I am putting on. So I think there's 4 pieces. There's 4 die cut pieces. I repeated 1 with that small one. But here we're just gonna lay this out and glue all of these together. Again, we want to keep that thread held down good and in a nice place. And then we have our mummy wrap that we stitched. Super simple, super easy, and really cute. But again, you don't have to. You don't have to use the stitching part of the die. If you think this die is cute, but you're not someone who wants to stitch, don't do it. Just add it without the stitching pieces. And then a little bit of pumice stone to ink blend around the edges, even over the floss, to get him a little bit grungy. And then his teeth are die cut from alabaster cardstock. And I'm going to use a little bit of walnut stain to get his teeth all grungy. He's going to have some fun green eyes. He's got some eyebrows. And then he has his own sentiment, which says trick or treat. Look at how cute. Sorry, my camera was blurry. It was just taking a second to focus. But let's glue our teeth to the pieces that they're going to be connected to. And then I'm going to pop these up with foam adhesive. Now see, here are the pieces that I did not use the stitching die with, so you could create your guy this way completely. This is an A2 size card. All the excess will trim off, which is another reason why putting a solid piece behind your stitching pieces makes sense, because if you have to cut it off, it depending on where you have it laying down, you might end up cutting off some of your floss. I actually ended up not. It worked out where I didn't do that. And you just flip these around in different directions, which is going to be fun. You want to see some of that black cardstock through. Oh my gosh, how cute. Look at how fun he is. And then let's trim that excess off. Let's finish up this side, and then we can get the rest of him put together. He's such a little cutie. A cutie little monster. I love this one. And I'm going to scooch the eyes down just a little bit. Let's get those placed there. I don't want his eyebrows up too high, otherwise he's going to look surprised and less scary. A little bit of foam adhesive, and there we go. Oh my gosh, he's cute. And then we're going to put the trick or treat sentiment inside of his mouth. So I already have all those lined up. I'm just going to use a little dot of glue in my Pick Pro tool and get them placed in there. And I actually am doing them on crooked on purpose, so then I don't have to worry about lining them up straight. And it goes perfect with this design that they don't need to be straight. So really a lot of fun. This card is so fun. Last one. Cute, cute. Okay, so we are going to be using the embossing folder of the month, and one of your little bonus dies that you get if you get the All Clubs crate, you get 1 to 2 like bonus products, which is really, really fun. So we're going to do this big old cat, this big old black cat on here, but I just used some ink to rub against that embossing folder, the texture that it leaves, you know, your embossed images. I used black soot to just gently highlight all of those jack-o'-lantern faces, and they are so fun. So we're going to put this big old cat together. This is a really easy die, and I did bring one of the ghosts in that I had left over from the, oh my gosh, the small die of the month. But look at this cute little jack-o'-lantern. Oh my gosh, it has a sweet little face. That cat is so angry. It's hilarious looking to me. And then I'm going to add this is the little charm on the kitty cat's collar, which I think is fun. Okay, let's put this together. So this takes up the whole A2 size card, which I think is fabulous. So there's the big fun tail. Then you have the body. And I'm going to place that down here right at the bottom towards the right. And then you have that big old kitty cat head that's going to go on here. The pumpkin will go on top of the cat's head, which I think is why it's a little bit irritated. That fun collar. And then we're going to have the ghost. And then there's a sentiment that says eek with this little, well, big extra die, really. I feel like you could use this cat head without the rest of it, and that would be really cute too. Just depending on how you have it laid out. Maybe peeking around something, through something, whatever. I think that could be cute. The little teeth, the little fangs here. It's so darling. And then here is the word eek that we're just going to do on the tail. I thought that would be perfect. It'll pop nicely. It's the same color as the green eyes, but that'll pop nicely off of the black tail. And then that one is finished, and that is our regular embossing folder of the month. Let's do the stencil of the month, you guys. I love this stencil. It is so fun. This card was really simple, but we're going to add a little extra something to it. I'm starting on white cardstock, and I used, oh my goodness, what color did I use? I'm so sorry, you guys. I used a light gray ink, and right now I can't think of the name of it, but it's a distress ink, and I cannot think of what it is, but a light gray ink over the centerpiece because there's white ghosts on this, and I want those to stand out. And of course, then we have our orange pumpkins. We're going to do their stems. I'm going to do that in brown. Then you have the eyes for the ghosts. So there's bats. There's the faces for the jack-o'-lanterns, which is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so super, super cute. And I think the ink color was on this screen, but I wasn't looking at the screen right then. Let's tape that in place. Let's do the face with black soot. Oh my gosh, this is a fun stencil. Then we're going to take the 3D embossing folder, and it has the spider webs on it, but it also has what looks like rows of teeth. Is kind of what it looks like to me, and then like little lines of it reminds me of part of like the mummy card, like it would go with that. We're gonna use that on this card just to give it a little extra detail, and it kind of cracked a little bit, so here's where I'm gonna put that in, and I love it. It turned out so good. It almost looks like stitching when you don't look at it up close when it's on this jack-o'-lantern, and I'm here for it. And then I'm going to use the My Skeletons Have Skeletons sentiment right in the center. Okay, so I'm going to use this die a tad bit differently. This is the Better Press and foil it of the month. And you can see I tipped that over to get the magnet onto where I laid it on my card. Now, I'm doing the sentiment. I ended up cutting the sentiment off of this and using a different sentiment because I just didn't care for how I had it placed. But I'm going to ink this up with Twisted Citron. Now, this Better Press has this Better Press image and then a ghost die. Basically, this is the shadow to the smaller ghost die. So you would lay the ghost die in front and you have a shadow. I'm not doing it that way. I just tend to do things a little differently sometimes. But here's how I'm going to do the sentiment, because this is also a foil plate, and I'm going to use the Boo Humbug on black cardstock with white foil. So I changed my mind on the other sentiment, but we did use the Better Press to stamp our ghost. Here we're going to use the white foil on black cardstock. I'll trim that out. I am going to run the ghost through the embossing machine with the Spiderweb embossing folder on top of it. I just like that texture. So you can see that here. I added a black mat to it. I used the other side of the embossing folder, 3D embossing folder, for the background on that purple cardstock. Here is that sentiment, and then I'm going to add some of those bats from the beginning cards around, and that is going to be the Better Press. So you would put the smaller ghost down there at the bottom, and it would look like that's his shadow. But his face is really cute, and then that face is really scary. But that's not how I wanted to do it, so we did it differently. Okay, now we are going to do another card using an extra bonus. I'm going to run this through the die cut machine with that 3D embossing folder on orange cardstock. I did my ink blending beforehand. We will use the stitching die of the month, but without the stitches. So here I just grabbed a bunch of the wrappings, and what I wanted to create here, because you get this fun mouth with teeth and different size eyeballs. So we're going to have a monster mouth and eyeballs everywhere peeking through all of this wrap. And that's how we're going to create this card. So this is the 3D embossing folder of the month with our little add-on pieces, your little bonus piece. And then we only have one more card after this, guys. So thank you for hanging in there, but I think it's all worth it because these are so, so cute. All right, let's put these pieces together. And of course, I want to see that embossed background. I want to see all the orange. We're going to have green and purple eyes. And just, there's different sizes and they're really easy to put together. And then we will use a sentiment from the stamp of the month that says, "Let's eat candy and judge people." I just think that's a funny, funny sentiment. And of course, trim off the excess. And then let's just start placing all of those eyes in and around. So we need eyes for the mouth, and then the rest of the eyes are just eyeballs peeking out, which I think is really, really cute. Fun and playful. I like this card a lot, actually. I think it turned out just kind of, just kind of silly. A silly Halloween card. So we have all the eyeballs glued together. And there's white dots. I'm just going to use my white gel pen to add the white dots to the eyes. I didn't feel like having to die cut another little white piece. This was just faster to me. So there we go. Okay, our last card. So this is the back side of the debossed side of the embossing folder. And I'm using black soot to ink up all the flat areas, and the debossed areas you're going to see, and I just love that. I think that's called the blackout technique or something like that with embossing folders. And I'm going to bring in some of the other pieces. I have leftover pieces. I am going to die cut another one of these, oh my gosh, little potion bottles. My brain, you guys, I'm so sorry. Here's that cute ghost from the Better Press. This is the die, though, so his little sweet face with the scary background. I had some extra books. I had a bat. I had an extra couple of eyeballs. So we're going to create this, another shelf. We're just going to create this cute background. And then the sentiment that I had stamped earlier that said boo humbug, I just cut the humbug off. And I'm going to use the word boo. So we have this ghost coming out of the potion bottle, although I probably should have made the ghost green, right? That would have been cute too. And then we have a little bat that's going to be on the end of the potion bottle there. Really fun, playful. I love it. I think this card turned out super cute. And then you can really see all those fun jack-o'-lantern faces on the embossing folder of the month. So there's the embossing folder, and then you have the 3D embossing folder. This is just the regular embossing folder of the month. And then in just a second here, we will take a look up close at all of the cards, because I think it's kind of fun to see them in real time, not sped up, and just to take a look at them really quickly. So here's that large die of the month. Oh my gosh, I love that card. Then we have the small die of the month. We have that little extra bonus, our stitching die of the month, our stencil of the month. I really like this card too. Our better press of the month, that fun scary ghost. Another little bonus that you have here. And the embossing folder of the month. Cute, cute. I love everything. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you feel inspired by these projects. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.